94 matches at this year's World Darts Championships, and we're now down to the final one. Yes, number 95, and it is the final between Luke the Nuke Littler and Michael van Gerwen. And I think this is a final that could have a bit of everything. And I think there's a lot of interesting things to talk through with these two going into this final match. And let's start off with Michael van Gerwen, who got the win against Chris Dobey in the semi-final. And it was all a little bit too easy, I felt, for Michael van Gerwen in the end. I think, unfortunately, Dobey just ran out of steam at this year's tournament. Going into that game, he had played the most darts out of anyone in terms of amount of sets and legs played in the 4 matches that he actually had to play to get to the semi-final. And I think it showed, because I think Dobey was scratching around trying to find his B and C game to try and see if he can get past Michael van Gerwen. But I think van Gerwen, at the end of the day, well, he had too much for Chris Dobey in that one. But I wouldn't necessarily say that van Gerwen was at his absolute best in that one. I just think he just knew when to pull the trigger at the right time and kill Dobey off in most of them sets. And anyway, he ended up winning that 6-1. And as for Luke Littler, he also won by the same scoreline against Stephen Bunting, who actually, looking at the stats and looking how he probably played no different Bunting to any of the games that he played getting to that point of the semi-final. I think it was just a case of Luke Littler was too good on the day. And I think the one other disappointing thing maybe for Bunting and maybe a little bit for Dobey, but more so Bunting was a little bit too friendly up there, wasn't it? Well, I don't think that's going to happen here. I think there's not going to be the sort of fist bumps and high fives and the well done, mate, that was a lovely shot. I think this is going to be a proper battle, and I think these two are going to go right at it with one another. This is a first to 7 game as well. There should be plenty of 180s. In fact, an interesting point to make, Luke Littler, he needs 20 180s or more in this game to beat Michael Smith's record at the Ali Pally of 83 180s. He's currently on 64, so 19 matches it, 20 beats it. I think he does it tonight. I think that's one thing I think will happen. I think Littler will hit that amount of 180s. And why do I think he'll hit that amount of 180s? I think the game's going to go on long enough. I don't think this is going to be another, like last night, was a bit disappointing, 6-1, well, 7-1, 7-2, 7-0. I think van Gerwen's going to show his bit here in this game. That said, I still fancy Luke to win this one. I think he becomes the youngest world champion in darts at the age of 17, and he will beat Michael van Gerwen's record. I think he wins this by 7-5. Plenty of 180s, maybe a 170 checkout, maybe even a 9 darter, but I think a classic.